Let's not waste time and beat around the proverbial bush, because Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is the best Prince of Persia game for the last 21 years. It might even be better than Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, though that particular argument involves taking on nostalgia, and that's a battle that we probably cannot win. What we can say with supreme confidence is this though: Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is utterly brilliant. This game has sought to take on one of the most overpopulated genres in all of the video game kingdoms, that of the Metroidvania. As such, your young and exceedingly nimble protagonist will spend his time exploring the vast and varied 2D labyrinth that is Mount Kaf. Instead of a prince, you'll be playing as Sargon, a hero with a mysterious past, and early on you'll encounter many inaccessible areas which will only be made reachable by unlocking one of the many power-ups that lurk within this hidden maze of a setting. Also tucked away in these beautifully rendered depths are hordes of enemies to vanquish and epic bosses to best. You know the drill if you've played any Metroidvania in the past, and you almost certainly have. But what makes The Lost Crown stand out is that it is one of the finest examples of the genre that doesn't include Samus Aran. Take the controls, which are precise and immaculately conceived. Sargon leaps, flips, wall climbs and dashes with the very best of them, and our hero is wonderfully responsive as he darts with energetic glee around elaborate environments, each of which is teeming with treacherous traps. Sargon is pretty much constantly moving, and one of the greatest pleasures of the game is how the controller and the avatar feel as one. There were moments after navigating a seemingly unbeatable platforming section that elicited some punching of the air with delight, absolutely amazed with ourselves that we'd achieved something seemingly impossible, but under no doubt that the tight and responsive controls were there to see us through. Combat is the equal of the exquisite platforming, and Sargon is an aggressive fighter. He's all about getting up in an enemy's face before dodging nimbly aside to follow up once more from an unexpected flank, or to parry and counter-attack. To this end, combat is fast, frenetic, and full on. Enemies are varied and tough, from hard-to-reach archers to pesky flying demons, shield bearers, and hulking brutes. Each one demands a different approach, encouraging the player to mix up their offensive strikes, use juggles and air combos to wipe out an adversary before their feet even touch the floor. You'll want to keep on the offensive and avoid taking hits, whether that's dodging through an enemy's legs or parrying the white or yellow glints that come as an enemy is about to unleash an attack. There's also red glints which are unblockable, so you need to dash those ones in particular. As you land your strikes, you'll be awarded with a boost to the Athra meter, which can be converted into special attacks known as surges. These deliriously over-the-top moves are animated to perfection and can change the dynamic of a confrontation, enabling Sargon very often to clear the area and plan his next offensive. The Lost Crown is a pretty demanding game for the player, but what we admire most is how it maintains its hardcore credentials while still being very accessible. This is a game that wants to be played and it wants to be completed. Nearly every aspect of the difficulty can be tinkered with and toned down or scaled up if that's your thing instead. You can even call in handy portals to avoid tricky platform sections entirely, which is a fantastic accessibility option. And if you're struggling on the combat side, there's an informative series of combat tutorials that break down all of the mechanics and enable players to practice without punishment until they get the hang of the increasingly challenging, but deadly when you get them right, combos. The exception to this generosity is a particularly grueling sewer section that precedes the unlocking of a game-changing time shift ability. This underground slime-filled chore of a level is packed with instant respawn traps and platforming nightmares that will punish every single mistake. This sudden difficulty spike highlights how wonderful the new ability that you eventually get is, allowing you to then navigate the rest of the sewers with gleeful abandon. But that doesn't change the fact that you'll be shouting expletives for a good 20 minutes or so before you manage to get there. The inexplicable lack of a map during this section also doesn't help, given just how useful the map is throughout the rest of the game. Metroidvanias live and die by their in-game maps, and thankfully The Lost Crown delivers in this regard. It needs to, because Mount Kaf is dense with secret routes, hidden quests and unlockables. Returning to a previous area is actually quite delightful because your latest abilities open up those new paths that you never even really knew existed. To aid in this exploration is the genius memory shard system. These little wonders enable you to take a screenshot and pin it to your map, giving you a reference point for later on. You've also got various markers that you can just drop down on the map as well. And the time and the frustration that these two tools save cannot be underestimated, helping us to easily locate secrets that would have otherwise remained forgotten about. Visually, The Lost Crown is an unexpected treat, and it's got this bold and almost Saturday morning cartoon-like aesthetic that is delivered with vim and vigour. Where The Lost Crown truly exceeds, though, is in its glorious character design. There's an engaging fusion of Persian mythology and culture to be enjoyed, a fresh and intoxicating mix that results in some standout boss encounters as well. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is one of the finest Metroidvanias that we've ever played, and is a fantastic way to start off 2024. There's the thrilling and kinetic platforming, there's the thumping combat, and there's a vast game world that demands exploration and makes it a joy to do so. It's time to kick nostalgia firmly in the unmentionables though, so let's rip off the plaster. This is the best Prince of Persia ever. And on that potentially quite controversial note, we're going to call it a day on our Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown review. The game is out across pretty much every single platform that you want to play on the 18th of January, but you can start playing today, the 11th of January, thanks to the release of a free demo. We hope that you've enjoyed what you've seen in this video, and obviously if you go on to play the game, that you enjoy it as well. Before you go though, make sure to like, subscribe, share, do all of the usual YouTube things, and hopefully we will see you again soon. Goodbye.
No. I'm not a whack-whack tree. There are many whack-whack trees across the citadel. Their branches are a refuge for us, and also a great help for travelers.
Yes, I've noticed.